Hello, everyone. It's JVL here with my Bulwark colleague, Sam Stein. And today, newly inaugurated President Donald J. Trump went to church. Didn't burst into flames or anything, but it didn't go too well because he went to a resistance church. He went to the National Cathedral, which is an Episcopalian church. And there he was treated to a service run by Bishop Mariann Budde. I have been assured by Sam the pronunciation for this is actually Budde, but if I'm doing this wrong, no offense meant.
And Sam is assured because he checked. Yeah, Sam is assured because he checked 2 YouTube videos to make sure he got the right pronunciation. So
I want to set this up a little bit here. The president was unhappy because during the service, Bishop Budde said things such as, "You have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now." She asked everybody there in attendance to pray for unity as a people and a nation, not for agreement, political or otherwise, but for the kind of unity that fosters community across diversity and division, and that unity is not partisan. She asked explicitly for the president, not the president-elect, the actual sitting president of the United States, to have mercy on lesbians and gays and trans folks and immigrants.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. You'd have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land.
And after the service, approached by a reporter, the president of the United States said, "Not too exciting, was it?"
What did you think of the service?
What did you think? Did you like it? Did you find it exciting? Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service, no. Thank you very much.
There's so much going on here, Sam, but I'm concerned that you, as a member of the tribe, that all of this is wasted on you.
This is
so
way
give me your outsider perspective before I come in with a little high church.
Yeah, exactly. So my general view of this is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not exactly confrontational that a member of the high church would say, keep an eye out, support your poor, support the vulnerable, make sure that they are taken care of, don't turn your back on them. I again, this is basic 101 for me, but immigrants, the poor, those suffering, those maligned,
the vulnerable
by society, the vulnerable, they are the ones who need your support. And so in that sense, this seems almost within Scripture, not outside of it. Of course, obviously, everything is tainted by politics when you have the president in the pew, but it's not an incredibly radical statement at its surface. It was a show of, if you want to say resistance or whatnot, it's much better, I suppose, than the first round when Mike Pence was at, Hamilton, and the cast was like, support immigrants.
President-elect Pence, we welcome you and we truly thank you for joining us here at Hamilton and American Musical. We really do. We are the diverse America who are alarmed and anxious that your new administration will not protect us, our planet, our parents, or defend us and uphold our inalienable rights, sir.
This one is a little bit more, I think, powerful, but I find the reaction to be, the more telling part, which is Trump's response that it was not a good sermon, as if she was putting on a show for him. And then you have members of Congress, Republicans, being like, she should be deported. Now, I think they're probably saying it tongue in cheek, but like so much for, freedom of religion and freedom of speech.
Yeah, right. I mean, it would have been the most obvious thing in the world for the president to say, yeah, it was great. Super Bowl, we've got to look out for everybody. You could say that and then just keep doing what you're doing. Right.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to get angry that somebody said
he's got
we're all on the same side. Right. But you could just say, yeah, of course, we're all on the same side here. We all love the same God. We're all God's children. And then go back to doing Schedule F and your mass deportations. You could do that. The fact that Trump felt the need to say that this is all like, what's up with this codswallop? Yeah. That's pretty telling. Also telling is that this is a sign that Trump hasn't been around. He's been in a bubble, a Christian bubble, for a while now, where all he is around MAGA Protestant megachurch types, and then MAGA Catholic types. Right. Because I am sorry, but like the last super liberal denomination in America is the High Church Episcopalians, the smells and bells types. They're all super lib, right? So what did he expect?
Right. Well, I guess to your point, he's been, and even yesterday during the inauguration, there is this notion of something providential about his re-election, his election, I guess I should say, in that they framed the assassination attempt, they framed his the prosecution of him, and exalted him almost as like a Christ-like figure, frankly.
Yeah.
Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
I think to a degree that would warp anyone's mind, but for someone who has the ego that Donald Trump does, I'm assuming he assumes that anyone who is of the church should worship at the altar of Trump. And to have someone who clearly was saying, in fact, you should not do some of the things you're thinking of doing, or at least be open-minded to the possibility that there are bad downstream effects. I think that was very jarring for him, frankly.
Doesn't want to hear it. Right. Yeah. And again, he took it as a criticism when somebody who was not guilty wouldn't have seen any criticism at all in it.
Right.
Right. Only somebody who is specifically positing his administration, as I wrote today in my newsletter, ding, 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 as a war against half of America would get upset that somebody was saying, please, let's not wage war against half of America.
Let me ask you, because you're way more attuned to this, and I know you've written about it and in a way sort of obsessed about it too, which is the church itself as a bulwark. Obviously different denominations believe different things, but the church itself at a time like this, the expectations that it would, for instance, stand up for refugees when in day one we've seen executive orders going after them, or make any sort of quasi-political statement warning against what Trump is about to do to immigrants, for instance. We don't expect that from them anymore. Was there a time you think where we should have expected it, or has this just been on a downward slope? What's your take on that?
We should always expect it, but
Sure.
It's hard to say. I mean, from where I sit, the American Protestant church has been headed in this direction since like 1980 or so. Mm-hmm. And the Protestants just got more and more seduced. And again, this is just like my own cultural bias as a Catholic, more and more seduced by politics, to the point where it became, by now at least, like it really is Christian nationalism, but where the Christian is the modifier, not the now, right? And the Christian is just a flavor of nationalism. Yeah. And I am seeing that, and I've seen it for the last 5 or 6 years now, happening to the Catholic Church. From the inside, the Catholic Church looks a lot like mid-1990s Protestant America at this point, right, where the politics and political identity is overwhelming all of the theology. And so I don't even know. I mean, it's hard, the American church is different from, it's a global church, but the American church is different from the Canadian church, which is different from the African churches, which is different than Rome. Right. But we're seeing, we have a showdown going on between Catholic Charities and the governor of Texas right now, where he's trying to stop Catholic Charities from giving aid to migrants. It's like Catholic Charities is in Texas trying to do what you're supposed to do, which is like give diapers to the people who are in the most dire of need.
Well, and I think one of the, and I have to double check this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. One of the executive orders yesterday issued by Trump was to remove protection that the Biden administration had put in place for churches from ICE raids, whether they're sheltering migrants or refugees or anyone. Used to, now I think it's free game for ICE to go into those places of worship.
Yeah, only for Highlanders is church still sanctuary.
And I guess I'm left wondering, I never expected them to sort of be a refuge or a bulwark, to borrow the word, against Trumpism. But it is sort of the reason this moment today popped out for me, at least, is that there's very few moments where culturally or religiously, I guess, we see people stand up and say, actually, no, this is wrong. Like, no, you shouldn't do this. Because we're in this very defensive crouch for anyone who's an opponent of what Trumpism is. And so I think that's why this has got some resonance. As I said, oh my God, this woman who's like, if you look at her, you would not expect that to happen. And you're like, okay, well, she said something. And maybe that sparks other people to say something.
Maybe it does, but I wonder, and I really do wonder within the various Christian communities in America, who's left that wants to hear that stuff, right? And this is
maybe, yeah.
Again, the degree to which politics has eaten our entire country, where partisanship now drives everybody's opinions on everything. It's very disconcerting. I see it happening in my own faith, and the extent to which it's happening everywhere over everything is kind of what makes me, it feels like we're a country that's having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
And when somebody stands up and says something totally unobjectionable, like we ought to have unity and please show mercy on these vulnerable populations.
Right.
The answer isn't, oh, of course we're going to try to do that, and then you go your own way. But it's like, this message about unity is bad, and they ought to only do things that please me because I am Caesar. Yeah. And that is bad stuff. Bad stuff.
Well, I'm glad we're here to talk about it.
Yeah. Great. It's going to be a great 4 or 5, who knows how many years of this.
We're one day down. One day down. Okay.
Click subscribe, hit like, follow the channel, and we'll try to get through this Mishigas together.
Nice use of Mishigas. Love it. Thank you. Ending on a good Yiddish term. Later.